In the name of God, most merciful and compassionate. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We are going to continue explaining the rest of this wise saying by Imam Ali alayhi salam. We've come to the point where Imam alayhi salam says, أو منغادا لحملة الحق لا بصيرة له في أهنائه. I mean that some of the so-called knowers or alim, منغادا لحملة الحق, although they are the followers of the bearers of the truth, although they pretend or they seem to be obedient to the Aimma alayhum as-salam, لا بصيرة له في أحنائه, but they have no deep knowledge of the various aspects of the religion. Some might claim to be obedient to the Imams alayhi salam. Some might claim to be the followers of Imam Ali alayhi salam. But in reality, they are not deeply knowledgeable of the religion. They are not deeply familiar with the various aspects of the religion. ينغدح الشك في قلبه لأول آرذ من شبهة. When they encounter a spurious argument, when, for example, they are exposed to some spurious or false arguments, some doubts might be cast into their hearts. Like striking a match. Upon striking a match, fire will be seen. As soon as, for example, some person starts, for example, casting or starting, for example, arguing, for example, with such people, some doubts, for example, might be cast into their hearts. It means that they are not firmly stable. They are not firm in their own religion. Possibly because of their superficial knowledge, or because they are not certain of the religion, of their religious beliefs as they should be. Ala la dha wala dhaka. Imam said neither this group nor that group. I mean that the second and third groups, as mentioned by Imam at the beginning of his wise saying. So there are some so-called religious scholars who are not familiar with the delicate points, with the various aspects, or who are not deeply knowledgeable of their own religion. That is why they might shake. They might shake as soon as they face some sort of, for example, spurious arguments. O manhuman bil-lidha. There are so many so-called religious scholars who just seeking after pleasures. Salis al-ghiyadi li-shahwa. They are the victims of passions, lusts, their desires. O mughraman bil-jam'i wal-ittikhar. Or they just try to amass money, wealth, and so on. ليس من رعاة الدين في شيء. They are not the guardians of the religion. I mean that they don't protect, they don't try to protect their religion against, the dangers. facing the religion. No, no. They don't care about their own religion. They just think about their own benefits. They just care about their own benefits and no more. أغرب شيء شبها بهما الأنعام الصائمة. Then Imam compare such people to the cattle, to the livestock, or to the sheep, which are scattered without being looked after, without having a shepherd. They are just the victims of their own lusts, passions, desires, and no more. Are there really such knowers or ulama? Yes, yes, there are lots and lots of such ulama. What is the evidence? One of my evidences in this regard is from Tuhaf al-Ughul, which was also translated into English, but it was not well translated. At the end of Tuhaf al-Ughul, Mufazzal ibn Umar, who was one of the companions or followers of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, as was Kumayl ibn Ziyad, a follower of Imam Ali alayhi salam, in his own last will and testament, Mufazzal ibn Umar quotes Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, who divides the ulama into three groups. I will read this hadith inshallah next week. So the best alim or knower is as alim al-Rabbani. As for the translation of al-alim al-Rabbani, I'm not going to mention the names of some of the so-called scholars who write in English. There is one whose name I don't like to mention, but he wrote a book called Justice and Remembrance. You might have heard this book. Justice and Remembrance. In this book, the writer, who has religious pluralist leanings or leanings, elaborates upon this wise saying as I am explaining now. This one. He tries to use just his own personal opinions, and I think because of not being familiar with Arabic, he just uses, the incomplete or the imperfect English translation of this wise saying. And I think, as far as I understand, he doesn't succeed, in fooling justice, to this wise saying. As for Al-Alim al-Rabbani, he uses this expression, lordly scholar. Lordly scholar seems not to be a good equivalent of Al-Alim al-Rabbani. I suggest divinely inspired knower. Divinely inspired knower seems to be a better equivalent of Al-Alim al-Rabbani. I explained what is meant by Al-Alim al-Rabbani. I never claim to be able to elaborate or to comment upon this wise saying in the best possible way. No, not at all, not at all. I would like again to refer back to Al-Alim al-Rabbani, and then I'll go on to explain the rest of the wise saying. Muhammad Jawad al-Maghniya is one of the most distinguished Shi'i scholars. He died a few years ago. As I had explained before, he has a 4-volume commentary upon the Nahjul Balagha in Arabic, entitled في ظلال نهج البلاغة, in the shade or in the light of Nahjul Balagha. He says, العالم الرباني وهو الذي يعرف الله وشريعته ويعمل بموجبها. He says, what is meant by al-alim al-rabbani is one who knows God, يعرف الله, not superficially but deeply. One who knows God, not like I do, no. A deep knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One who has been inspired by the Quran and by the teachings of Ahlul Bayt. وَشَرِيعَتُهُ, and he is also expert in Islamic law, Sharia. وَيَعْمَلُ بِمُوجِبَهَا, and he acts upon the Sharia. This is one definition of Alim al-Rabbani, who is both expert in Islamic doctrine and in Islamic law, and he also acts upon the Sharia. Al-Alim al-Rabbani. So Imam Ali excludes the 2 other groups from the category of the divinely inspired scholars. So neither James Morris, sorry, I didn't want me to mention his name, neither James Morris and neither the author of Justice and Remembrance succeeded in explaining it. So it is better not to go into details. It is better not to rely on our own personal opinions. It is better to explain by full injustice to what is meant by Imam Ali alayhi salam, to what is intended by Imam Ali alayhi salam. So Alim al-Rabbani is one who knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala based on the Quran and the teachings of Ahlul Bayt. That's all. That's all. Not from the perspective of some Muslim philosophers like Mullah Sadra. Some people might object to me, do you know Mullah Sadra? I don't claim to be expert in the philosophy of Mullah Sadra, but I have some knowledge of his own philosophy. Ya'rifullah, what is meant by Ya'rifullah? Who knows Allah? He who is expert in the Nahjul Balagha, he who is expert in the Quran, he who is expert in the ahadith as narrated from Ahlul Bayt alayhum as-salam. Can we give some examples of some of the divinely inspired knowers? For alim, I prefer to use knower. Knower. Alim, knower. One who knows. Rabbani, not lordly, but divinely inspired. One who is inspired by the Quran, but not just by the Quran. The Quran in the light of the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhum as-salam. One who is wholeheartedly dedicated to Imam Ali and the other Aimma alayhum as-salam. One who is a man of words and deeds. وَيَعْمِلُ بِمُوجِبَهَا. One who is expert in Sharia. In Sharia. And who acts up to the Sharia. This is Alim al-Rabbani. Alim al-Rabbani. I don't like to use the word Arif, because Arif is a confusing word as far as I know. I have a lot of evidences. Anyone seeing my lecture, anyone listening my lecture, okay, can ask me to produce my evidences. Not Arif, better to use Alim. Al-Alim al-Rabbani, that's all. If anyone asks me, who is an Alim al-Rabbani? One who knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How? As I explained, based on the Quran, but not just based on the Quran. The Hadith and Aql. What is meant by Aql? Aql, as I explained, Aql is that faculty or that power which can understand naturally what is bad and what is good. That is Aql. If you ask even a child, do you like to be treated as you should be? Do you like to be treated fairly? For example, even the children like to be treated equally, or they like to be treated as fairly as possible. Justice. No one hates justice. Even the oppressors claim to be just. This is what Aql dictates. Anyway, so I hope that I succeeded in explaining Al-Alim Al-Rabbani. So, as Imam Ali explained, one of the examples, let me give an example and then I'll go on. Al-Shaykh Al-Mufid was an Alim Al-Rabbani. Al-Shaykh Al-Mufid. Al-Allama Al-Hilli, another example. Al-Shaykh Al-Tusi, an example. Al-Sayyid Al-Radhi, the collector of the sermons, letters, and writing of Imam Ali. Al-Kulayni, Al-Saduq, alayhum ar-rahmah. They were all the examples, the paramount examples. They are the best examples of al-ulama al-rabbaniyun, alim al-rabbani. An alim al-rabbani is not a worldly man. An alim al-rabbani does not use the religion as an instrument for the achievement, for the attainment of his personal benefits or desires. An alim al-rabbani does not advise the people not to commit haram, but then he goes home and he might tell his family, do whatever you like. I just advise the people, but not you. He is not an alim, he is a kha'in. Kha'in. What means by kha'in means that he is a traitor. He is not loyal to his religion. He is disloyal to his religion. He is a hypocrite. He is a hypocrite. Moral hypocrisy is one of the deadliest blows which can be delivered to religion. Moral hypocrisy. Moral hypocrisy. Imam Ali wishes, intends to introduce or to present the three classes of the ulama. But there is just one class or one category of ulama who, according to Imam Ali, are the best. And they are al-ulama al-rabbaniyun. Ulama is the plural of alim. That's all. So Imam Ali gives us the standards the criteria based on which we can distinguish the true alim from the false alim. So knowing, having some knowledge is not sufficient. Al-amal, the Sharia, acting on the Sharia is important as well, besides having deep knowledge. كذلك يموت العلم بموت حامله. In this way, Imam alayhi salam says, knowledge dies. Knowledge will become extinct. Knowledge will die out when the bearers of knowledge die. Right. So when knowledge is not transmitted to the people, to the righteous people, when the bearer of that knowledge dies, knowledge will also be buried. Imam Ali just confided in Kumayl only, or also in some of his sincere companions, not in anybody else. That's all. اللهم بلى لا تخلو الأرض من غائم لله بحجة. Then Imam says, the earth is never empty of the proof of God. For example, at present, Imam al-Hujjah, Ajjalallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, is the proof of God on earth. لا تخلو الأرض من غائم لله بحجة. The earth is never empty of a hujjah, of a ghaim, of one who stands up for the proof of God. It means that one who explains the hujjah of God, ala ibadihi, one who protects the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one who spiritually guides the people, guides the followers of Ayyim alayhim salam, or the righteous people, and so on. Hujjah. Imma zahiran mashhura or khaifan maghmura. This hujjah is either visible, like Imam Ali and the following 10 imams, or khaifan maghmura, as we read in the dua, in the supplication of Ahd, or khaif, frightened, and hidden. Either the hujjah is known by the people, lives among the people, and the people know him, or because of the tyranny or oppression existing, he becomes hidden. For example, Musa alayhi salam, Moses, who became hidden from his community for about 40 days. And even Rasulullah, the Prophet of Islam, became hidden for some time. And Al-Imam Al-Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif became hidden. Why? What is the rationale behind the hiddenness of Al-Imam Mahdi? لِأَلَّا تَبْتُلَ هُجَجُ اللَّهِ وَبَيِّنَاتِهِ, so that the proofs of God and His signs may not become extinct, or may not die out. Imam Mahdi is now hidden. He will appear someday in order to establish universal justice on earth, in order to revive the religion, in order to revive what has been forgotten, in order to subject the personal opinions to the Quran, and so on. Then Imam goes on to say, وَكَمْزَا وَعَيْنَا أُولَٰئِكَ. وَكَمْزَا, how many are they? How many are the proofs of God? That is, how many are, such righteous people? First, Imam says, لَا تُخْلُ الْأَرْضُ مِنْ غَائِمٍ لِلَّهِ بِهُجَّةٍ. The earth is never empty of the proof of God. And that is Al-Imam Mahdi at present. And Imam is now hidden. And he will appear someday. And the reason why he is hidden is that in this way, the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because so that Imam might appear someday. At the same time, although Imam is hidden, he protects the religion. And in this way, Islam will last until Imam reappears and revive, the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and establish Islam as the universal religion on earth. But Kamza wa aina awliyaika. Imam says, how many are they? And where are they? Ulaika wallahi al-aghalluna adadan. Imam says, I swear by God, they are few in number. وَالْأَعْذَمُونَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ قَدْرًا. But they are of high value in the sight of God. Maybe what is meant when Imam says وَكَمْذَا وَعَيْنَ أَوْلِيَائِكَ, they might be the special companions of Imam Al-Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. 313, maybe. يحفظ الله بهم هججه وبيناته حتى يدعوها نظراءهم. يحفظ الله, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve His own proofs and evidences through them. What is meant by proofs? By proofs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protects His religion. Islam, Shia Islam, the principles of Islam, the teachings of Islam, the Quran, the Ahadith, and whatever is related to Sharia through them, primarily through the Aimma alayhim as-salam. Hatta yudi'uha nudhara'ahum, until, those hujaj, those great men, deposit them, transmit them to the people who are like them. In one sense, for example, Imam Ali transmitted his divinely inspired knowledge to Imam Hassan alayhi salam, Imam Hassan alayhi salam to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Of course, primarily the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is protected by the Aimma alayhim salam, that's all. وَيَزْرَعُوهَا غُلُوبَ أَشْبَائِهِمْ, and the Aimma alayhim salam sow the seeds of their knowledge in the hearts of the people who follow them, of the people who like to be, the people who follow in their footsteps, Those like Kumayl, for example, like Kumayl. So, the true proofs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are Aimma alayhi salam. What is meant by Hujjah? Hujjah is one who support the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who are the best examples, the perfect examples and they are the Aimma alayhi salam. And secondarily, those who are the true followers of Aimma alayhim salam. The Aimma alayhim salam, as I explained, deposited or entrusted their own religion to their successors. And sometimes whoever was susceptible to the reception of the knowledge of Aimma alayhi salam, for example, Imam Ali alayhi salam entrusted some of his secrets or mysteries to Kumayl and so on. هجم بهم العلم على حقيقة البصيرة. Those who are divinely inspired knowers, those who are the true followers of Aimma alayhim salam, their hearts are full of spiritual insight. It means that through knowledge or through spiritual insight or light is penetrated into their hearts. This is what is conveyed or transmitted by the Imam to his true followers. وَبَاشَرُوا رُوحَ الْيَقِينِ. They are in close contact with yaqeen, with certainty. Who? Those who follow the Aimma alayhim salam. Those who try to be like the Aimma alayhim salam, not perfectly, of course, as much as possible, as far as possible. Like Salman, Abu Dhar, Miqdad, Kumayl, Maysam at-Tammar, and so on. وَبَاشَرُوا رُوحَ الْيَقِينِ. Basharu means to be in close contact with. They are accompanied by the spirit of certainty. Why? Because they are the bearers, they are the depositories of the secrets of the Aimma alayhim as-salam. Kumayl, Miqdad. At present, there might be some divinely inspired scholars who might have been entrusted with with spiritual insight, with the knowledge of certainty by Al-Imam Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. It means that the Aimma alayhim as-salam, whenever they find a follower or a Shia who deserve being transmitted the secrets, they transmit some of the secrets to them. وَاسْتَلَانُوا مَسْتَعْوَرَهُ الْمُتْرَفُونَ. Those who are in close contact with Ruhul Yaqeen, with the spirit of certainty, find easy what is found or seen hard by the wealthy people, by the pleasure-seeking people. وَأَنَسُوا بِمَا اسْتَوْحَشَ مِنْهُ الْجَاهِلُونَ. Those who are, and they are in close contact, they are intimate with what is frightened by Jahilun, by those who have no true knowledge. وَالسَّحِبُ الدُّنْيَا بِأَبْدَانٍ أَرْوَاحُهَا مُعَلَّقَةٌ بِالْمَحَلِّ الْأَعْلَى. Such divinely inspired knowers, such true followers of the Aimma alayhim as-salam, such followers who have deep spiritual basira, insight, spiritual knowledge, and so on, although they are physically, this is very important, although they are physically in contact with this world, although they are spiritually in contact with this world, but they are spiritually living in another world, in the spiritual world. Their bodies are related to this world, are in contact with this world, but the spirits are living in the spiritual world. أولئك خلفاء الله في أرضه والدعاة إلى دينه. Imam alayhi salam says, they are really the representatives of God on earth. Who are they? Primarily the Aimma alayhim salam and their own followers. وَالدُّعَاةُ إِلَى دِينِهِ. And they are those who call people to the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Du'at. Du'at is the plural of da'i. Then Imam says, Ahi shughan ila ru'yatihim. Imam says, I am really desirous of seeing them. Imam says. Then Imam says, Insarif ya Kumaylo iza shi'ta. Oh Kumayl, if you like, you can come back. Go. Return. Go back if you like. It means that when Imam finishes his explains his why saying, then Imam says, Insarif means ishab, go. Ya Kumayl, O Kumayl, iza shi'ta, when you like, if you like. When Imam completed his speech. So, as I said, this is one of the most important and best wise sayings of Imam Ali alayhi salam. So, what I would like to do is just to give a brief summary of this wise saying. Right. So, as I said, Kumayl was one of the closest companions of Imam Ali alayhi salam. He was killed by Hajjaj ibn Yusuf. Kumayl. He was too close to Imam Ali. He was an intimate companion of Imam Ali alayhi salam. He was so close to Imam Ali alayhi salam that Imam Ali entrusted some of his secrets, spiritual secrets, to him. And as we know, Kumayl is very famous in the Shia world, especially because of the supplication of dua, supplication of Kumayl. In the beginning, Imam Ali introduces, as I said, three categories or classes of ulama to him: al-alim al-rabbani, al-muta'allim ala sabil al-najah, wa hamajun ra'a. The best alim is al-alim al-rabbani, a divinely inspired knower, one who knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deeply as possible, as properly and correctly as possible, one who is expert in the law, and one who acts on the Sharia. And the second class of knowers are those who learn or who try to acquire religious knowledge in order to save them, to save themselves. Then Imam Ali says, mal is not preferable to ilm. Ilm is preferable to mal, or knowledge. Knowledge is preferable to wealth or property. Wealth is not preferable to knowledge. So knowledge is more valuable. And what is meant by knowledge in this regard is al-ilm ad-din, religious knowledge. Ilm al-ahkam, knowledge of the rulings, and so on. Then Imam says, wealthy people die at death, but the ulama will continue to live even after death. Then Imam Ali said, there are some people who acquire a lot of knowledge and they are quick of understanding, but they have no deep knowledge of the religion. And they use their knowledge as an instrument for their own worldly pleasures or benefits. Imam does not like, and Imam didn't like, to transmit his knowledge to such ulama at all. I think this much is enough for this session. If you have got any questions, please do not hesitate to ask me. Please. Any questions, please?
So should I ask,
Please.
the ulama who are currently alive just now, like Ayatollah Sistani,
Yeah.
would we class them as the Al-Rabbani?
Al-Alim al-Rabbani. Yeah, there is a hadith. Inshallah, I read some hadith next week. Imam al-Hujjah al-Mahdi ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu Sharif says, وَأَمَّا الْحَوَادِثُ الْوَاقِعَةِ فَارْجِعُوا إِلَى رُوَاةِ أَحَادِيثِنَا فَإِنَّهُمْ حُجَّتِي عَلَيْكُمْ وَأَنَا حُجَّةُ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهُمْ حُجَّتِي عَلَيْكُمْ وَأَنَا حُجَّةُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ. Imam says, بَأَمَّا الْحَوَادِثُ الْوَاقِعَةِ, with regard to the new issues, with regard to the issues which emerge, for example now, farji'u, refer to the transmitters of our traditions, rawat, to the narrators of our tradition. فإنهم, they are my proofs over you. They are my representatives for you. And I am the proof of God for you. Imam means that he is the proof of God. But the fuqaha are his proofs, his representatives. So, a marja, a religious authority, of course, what I mean by this is a fully qualified faqih or jurist. Not anyone claiming to be a faqih. A fully qualified one, I mean. One who is really knowledgeable, preferably the most knowledgeable one, and the most just. And one who is a good example of justice. One who is expert, one who knows Allah, one who is expert in religious knowledge, in fiqh, in jurisprudence, and so on. One who is not a worldly man. This is very important. If you find a jurist who can have all the qualifications, positive qualifications, as explained by Imam Ali in this wise saying, he will be a good faqih. I don't want to mention the name of anyone, but at the same time, it is wajib, obligatory, to follow a faqih during the occultation or ghaiba of Al-Imam Mahdi Ajjallahu Ta'ala Farjahu. It is wajib. If we are not a mujtahid, we should follow a marja, an authority, a jurist, a religious authority, definitely. But whom shall we follow? We can ask two alim, whom I should follow. One who does not love the world, one who does not use the religion as an instrument for his own personal benefits, one who is deeply and dedicated to the Aimma alayhim salam. That's all. So the Nahjul Balagha, especially some of the sermons like or like this one, or like the sermon as I had already explained, or like this one, you can find, Imam Ali gives us some criteria based on which we can choose a good faqih. A good faqih. For example, As-Sayyid Al-Khoi, rahmatullah alayh, he was really a perfect jurist. As-Sayyid Abu al-Hasan al-Isfahani, one of the greatest jurists.